Good morning. Coach Kelly here with your encouraging word of the day. And the quote that inspired my talk today is, "There's no such thing in anyone's life as an unimportant day." Alexander Wolcott. So when I received that and first read it earlier this week, my mind went in about four different directions. So first it reminded me of the wit and wisdom of the late, great Zig Ziglar. I received my first Zig tape. It was a motivational tape from one of my very oldest, dearest friends back in the early 90s. I'd gone home for Christmas and I was for the Christmas holidays and I was on my way back to Dallas and we had exchanged a couple of tapes and he gave me a Zig tape. I'd never heard Zig before and I listened to that on the way back from Dallas, and that was my first exposure to Zig, and I literally have been following him my adult life. He passed away back in 2012. I had the good fortune of attending we attended the same church for about the last 10 years of his life. He was a great man. He was a brilliant communicator. He had a heart of gold, and he is still a role model to me today for how I try to live. But with regard to this quote, the more I learned about Zig over the years, I learned that he hated the idea of wasting time. He hated the idea of killing time, and it crawled all over him, the idea of undervaluing a day. So to this quote, he would say, if you don't think a given day is important, try missing one. I'll let you think about that one for a moment, because he was trying to be a little funny on the one hand, but he was being very serious on the other. So moving on. The second thing that I thought of is, it's a blog that I published actually just this previous Mother's Day, right after Mother's Day, and it was inspired by a series of events over about a 10-day period where I had a handful of clients either lose family members or very close, dear friends of family, and then there were a couple of negative diagnoses there, including the C word, and that was all in a 2-week period of time. And again, that inspired the blog, and the title of the blog is "You Don't Have Time." And I meant it to be motivational on the one hand, like get your butt in gear if you're not doing all that you want to do in life, because it just reminded me of the precious nature of life. I mean, we're not guaranteed the next 5 minutes, much less tomorrow. So if you're not doing all that you want to get done, get busy. Because last time I checked, this is not a dress rehearsal. So the other thought that popped in my head, it's one of my favorite movie scenes from Rocky 3. I'm dating myself, but from Rocky 3. So for you non-Rocky fans, bear with me. For you Rocky fans, this is good. So if you'll remember, at the beginning of the movie, he fought Clubber Lang, Mr. T, and he got his butt whipped. But he lost for all the wrong reasons. His manager, Mick, had just had a heart attack right before the fight. Rocky's mind was in a million places from being in the right frame of mind, to fight for the world championship. So Mr. T, kicked his butt. But it was for the rematch that he had partnered with Apollo Creed that he fought in the first two movies. They're out in California, and they're training for the rematch. And Apollo was teaching Rocky to fight in a different style. I mean, he was learning a new fighting style, and he was struggling, and he was living in fear. I mean, he had no confidence in himself whatsoever. And so this one scene, they're sparring, and Apollo's just beating the crap out of him. And he stops because Rocky's just not really fighting back. And Apollo stops and just screams at him, "What the hell's wrong with you?" And Rocky says, "I'll get it tomorrow. I'll get it tomorrow." And Apollo fires back to him, "There is no tomorrow." That is the essence, that quote. That is the essence of the fact that you don't have time. You really don't have time. So I'm going to close with, this is a conversation that I had with my grandfather, my mom's dad, when I was about 15. And I'm 55, so that's a long time ago. And he was probably about 60 when we had this conversation. Now, we grew up, my family and my grandparents, in the same neighborhood, so we had dinner at each other's house all the time. And we were over at that house, their house, and grandfather was cooking out on the grill, and I was out supervising. And I don't remember what we were talking about, but he made the statement that just burned in my head for 40 years. He said, your life's gonna go by so fast. He said, you're gonna turn around 3 times, you're gonna be my age. And of course, at the time, I'm sure I thought, whatever. But he was right. As I'm sitting here sharing with you now, I'm 55, I'm staring at 60. That's a short 5 years away, and that was the age that he gave me those prophetic words. So if you're not doing all that you want to do in life, this is not a dress rehearsal. Get it done. My closing statement is this: if not now, when? If not now, when? Have a great day.